I started it in telemarketing. I worked and lived in Arizona. My family's here in Utah. I grew up here. Wanted to come back to Utah. So I left a management role in marketing to come work in their newly opened HR payroll office here in Riverton. So I'm in my first day, maybe the first week, close to the first day of my job, sitting in my little cubicle, and the payroll director comes bebopping in my office. Hey, what's up with that dead check, PreSo? And I was completely taken aback. First off, he had this slightly curly hair that was very disheveled because he drove a convertible and he had just come back from lunch. And so I was completely distracted by that. First, and secondly, I couldn't for the life of me figure out what did dead chickens have to do with payroll? You know? And like, how do you respond to that? And so I quickly went through all of that complicated stuff in my brain and thought, oh, maybe he's just trying to be funny or socialize, right? So I don't remember exactly what I said, but that was not what he was trying to do, right? It was a serious request, and I started feeling very uncomfortable and like questioning my whole career move. He left, he came back, and he showed me a blast email that had been sent out by the payroll department to hundreds of employees, and the subject line said dead checks. Okay? So anybody know what a dead check is? I didn't either. I mean, I had come from marketing. I didn't know. And it was a check that they had issued to the employees that had expired because it had been unchecked or uncashed for so long, right? And this was a huge issue for payroll because they had, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but let's just say one round number, $1 million on the books that was shown as spent, but it was just floating there because it hadn't been cashed, right? They didn't know if these employees were still, what they were doing with these checks. And so they sent out this blast email. Few people had responded, but they still hundreds and hundreds of employees that had these uncashed checks. And so a PreSo meant a presentation, which in my life, since or before, nobody has called it a PreSo, but this one guy. Yeah. So he wanted a presentation on what me as a communication professional would recommend to fix the problem. So I did a few things. I changed the subject line of the email to say, your money, we have it and you want it, versus dead checks, right? Instead of sending it to 100 people at a time, I built a mail merge functionality so it said, Penny, you haven't cashed your check. We have 3,242 cents, sitting here waiting for you to cash your check. Please do it by this date. If you have questions, if you've lost your check, call this number. After this date, we get to keep your money. Right? What do you think the response was? It was some 90-something% response rate, and I think the other people had died. I don't know, but or didn't care. Yeah, so what do you think the lesson is from that story? Yeah. Yeah, all of those are really good.
It's like the marketer who's trying to sell something.
In the terms of the communication professionals, we call it WIIFM. Have you guys ever heard of WIIFM?
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me? Right? So think about what your audience cares about. They did not care that there was floating money on Intel's payroll checkbook. They didn't care about that, right? Think about it in terms that they care about it. Phrase it in a way that helps them prioritize it over what else they have going on in their life. All of us are maxed out. I can't remember the numbers, but you've heard probably that we get 47,000 information requests, sent to us a day. When you look at all of the advertising, all of the billboard messages, what's on the radio, what you would see at work, on your mail, with your kids, it's so overwhelming. And so if you're communicating in a way that cares about what your audience cares about, you're gonna help them prioritize your information, your message over other information.